Hey, welcome in. Well, thank God for state-funded media in Canada. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what words you're not allowed to say anymore, for some stupid reason. Well, here's the CBC. This is the cbc.ca. And this is what they're using Canada's money for. Words and phrases you may want to think twice about using. Well, there must be some pretty offensive stuff in here, like a blackmail, a grandfathered in, spirit animal. Oh, we can't forget first world problem. Can't say that anymore. Well, how about brainstorm, blindsided, and blind spot? Oh, tone deaf. Well, that could be offensive to people with hearing impairments, but I guess if they do, they can't hear this anyway, so fuck them. I am going to wager a guess here that the vast majority of people that they are pretending to advocate for do not care about any of this, are not offended, don't give a shit. I think this plays well in the media establishment, who's continuously jerking each other off in a grotesque orgy of virtue. But anyway, what really gets me about this is it's just so lazy. Because we live in a time right now when you just have some self-professed advocate for something. They can say something's bigoted, and then the media just automatically has to believe them and pretend that they are an elected official of whatever group they're advocating for, and everybody agrees. And that's really the end of it. As long as you're coming from the right political direction, of course. I mean, you can say horrible things about people, use awful words, as long as you're using them in the right direction. So, of course, this is political. But again, it's also lazy because it's so trivial. You know, there's big problems in the world right now. This might not be the thing we want to focus on. Let's see, being an English speaker doesn't entail you to necessarily know the, here we go, racist etymology automatically. This is from a linguist and associate language studies professor with the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Etymology is a study of the origins of words and the way their meanings change over time. Well, I'm glad they've got the etymologists on this. Because when you got a problematic word like blackmail, you really want to get an etymologist on that right away. Actually, let's take a look at the etymology here. Blackmail was originally a term from the Scottish borders, meaning payments rendered in exchange for protection from thieves and marauders. So it really has nothing to do with any kind of racism or anything, unless you just think the word black is racist, which I guess they do. Let's see, the issue here is that these are all negative terms, so blackmail, blacklist, and black sheep. This is from Joseph Smith, an anti-racism trainer and educator. So an anti-racism trainer and educator, so somebody whose job depends on them finding racist things to call racist, even if they're not. So, okay, great. Let's see, it connotes evil, distrust, lack of intelligence, ignorance, and a lack of beauty. The absence of white. Who thinks this? I mean, is there anybody other than anti-racism trainers and educators who thinks this? God, these people are weird. They have such a demented view of the world. It's really hard to believe. It says here, language, communication, and free speech are valuable, but these things cannot come at the cost of endangering someone else's rights in pursuit of happiness. How does it do that? How does it endanger someone's rights in pursuit of happiness? To describe things with common parlance, it doesn't make any sense. And what you're saying is free speech is not valuable. It's of course not. If the cost of anybody being offended is too high, then it's not valuable at all. Why don't they just say that? Why don't they just say what they really mean? Well, how about spirit animal? Spirit animal has become a term of endearment to describe someone who the speaker deeply relates to or loves. Deeply relates to or loves. Explained, somebody who has absolutely no interest in finding everything racist, an anti-racism facilitator. So it's a word used in a very positive way. And this is kind of how civilization works and has always worked. Cultures borrow words. They borrow language from other cultures. This is a good thing. It creates connection between cultures, which I'm starting to get the feeling that the modern left doesn't like that. They don't like different people talking to each other and getting along. They don't like that. They want everybody in their own little group complaining about all the other groups. Or one group in particular, let's just say. first world problem. People have slowly moved away from using the term third world, I haven't, to describe low-income countries, but the phrase first world problem is still used to convey that something is an issue only to those who live in a country with privilege and wealth. So it describes the real world. But this can be classist. Nobody cares about this shit. Why is CBC publishing this? We need to be able to describe the world in ways that everybody can understand, in ways that make sense. Are we supposed to pretend that poor countries aren't? I mean, whose feelings is that saving exactly? How is that benefiting anybody? How does any of this benefit anybody other than them in their anti-racism jobs? Because it just gives them something else to be anti-racist about. Well, these are my favorites here. Brainstorm, blindsided, and blind spot. The prefix blind is often used in metaphorical terms like blindsided, blind spot, and blind leading the blind to describe the limitation of sight. Quote, I can see that being offensive to people who can't see. Well, of course you can, Julie Cashman. You find everything offensive. It's no big surprise. Let's see, she's a member of the disability community, so that means she speaks for all disabled people, right? They're all against this. All of them. They voted her in. She's president of the disabled. Let's see, and she's also co-founder of the Consumer Action Committee, so that's it. We have to do what she says. So I guess the word blind must be offensive, I guess, because if you attach something to it, then it's immediately offensive. How about brainstorm? Using the term brainstorm can be insensitive to those who have brain injuries or are neurodiverse. So I guess you just can't mention brains around people who have a brain injury. In fact, we better just erase the word brain from the English language. Can't talk about those anymore. There are people that have brain injuries, you know. And how about this neurodiverse? I mean, what is she saying here? What is somebody who's neurodiverse will be offended or be sensitive to hearing the word brainstorm? Is she saying those people are idiots? Oh, wait a second. I think I'm being offensive. Boy, I sure hope she doesn't see this video. More important is the stigma that it will effectuate about disorders like epilepsy, for example. What? She's just making it up. Why does the CBC care what these people think? They're just making shit up to justify themselves. That's it. Well, this seems like an appropriate one to end the video off on. Dumb and lame. Because that describes this article perfectly. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast, Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.